All right, let's look at knowledge check 18.7.1. Again, we're going to go ahead, load the tidyverse and complete journey packages. And let's look at number 1. Filter our transactions for only those items in the meat department, and then use geom bar to plot the number of transactions for each product category. Okay, so let's take our transactions data, and we need to go ahead and do an inner join with products, and we want to filter for those transactions that are in the meat department. All right, we have all our transactions of interest. We can verify meat department, and then it talks about the product category. So what it wants us to do a bar chart where it shows the number of transactions based on the product category. So we can go ahead and let's pipe this right into ggplot, and then geom bar takes one variable, right? So we're going to do product category, and what this is going to do is it's going to count the number of transactions or the number of observations in each of the categories of product category, and then provide a bar to illustrate how many transactions are in each category. So when I do that, we get a bar plot here where we see the most transactions are in the beef category, followed by looks like chicken, and not too sure, this might be pork. We've got some overlapping of the names here, and we'll look a little bit later on how we can kind of adjust some of that information to make our plots look a little bit better and easier to read. Okay, let's look at number 2. Filter our transactions for only those items in the meat department as you did above. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing we did up here. However, so let's get the first part where we just get those transactions that are in the meat department. Now it says compute the number of transactions for each product category using count. All right, so and this says filter count. This should actually say dplyr count. Okay. So what we want to do now is once we have filtered our data for the meat department, we want to count the number of transactions based off of product category. When we do that, we get a data frame in return that has each product category and the number of observations in each level. Now this is basically exactly what geom bar was doing up here, right? Behind the scenes, it computed the number of observations and then used a bar to represent that value. Well, we've already gone ahead and computed our values here. So when we do this, and I pipe this right into ggplot, I could say I want to go ahead and do a bar chart. If I could type here. So if I do a geom bar here, now we have our data in a different format, so it's not going to be what we expect. So what we actually need to do is we need to map, let me go back here. We need to map both of these values to our plot. And the way that we can do that is, let's go ggplot, yes. Now we want product category to be on the x-axis, and we want to have our bars represented by the values in n. Okay, so n is going to be on the y-axis. Now instead of using geom bar, there is a geom call that we can use, and that will map the n values to our y-axis and the product category to our x-axis, and it provides us the exact same plot as above. So the main thing here is to realize if you've already computed the number of observations for each category, then you're going to want to use geom call. If you have not, then you would use geom bar. All right, let's look at number 3. Create a scatter plot comparing retail discount to sales value. Now, instead of using geom point, use the stat summary bin function. All right, so let's go ahead and first of all, let's do ggplot, and we're going to look at transaction sample AES, and we want to do retail discount to sales value, right? This is what we want to compare. And it said initially go ahead and just do a scatter plot. So let's do that. Geom point. And we get a plot that looks like this. Okay, now it says go ahead and use the stat summary bin. What does this tell you? All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to use stat summary bin. And I'm going to do the function is compute the mean. We want to illustrate the output based on a geom bar, which would be like a bar chart. And we want the orientation to be on the y-axis. All right, this may seem a little weird right now, but let's go ahead and plot this. All right, now we get the output like this. Now, what is this telling us? Well, what it is telling us is that for each binned sales value, so like down here, if we look at a sales value of 25, so on average for those transactions where the sales value is 25, if we follow the top of this bar, the average retail discount would have been, looks like roughly around 2, okay? Now, if we look up here at the top, we see that for those sales values that are around $75, the retail discount on average is what, probably close to, I don't know, 3.5, somewhere around there. So this is telling us for each level of sales value, what is the average retail discount? Now, we could flip this, right? Our orientation is Y. We could say orientation is X. And now it provides us a different story. And this would say, all right, when retail discount is typically around $25, on average, the sales value is $30.